All right, excited to get back to work today. Last road game of the year. You know, we got an opportunity to go undefeated on the road this season, which would be an incredible feat any season. So, got a lot of respect for Tony Elliott. He's a good friend in the business. He does everything the right way. You know, their defense is really solid. I mean, I think Sanker's as good a safety as you're going to see in our league, and they're long, they're athletic, and they run and play hard. And I think that's always the number one characteristic of a good defense is they play extremely hard and they run to the football and they don't stop. And then on offense, I mean, Calandry has been really good this year. So, you know, he's a guy that worries you because he can throw it, he can run it, he can extend plays, and I think they got some wideouts that are really good on the outside. So excited about the opportunity, and we got our hands full.
Is there anything that stood out on rewatch from the BC game? Anything that maybe you didn't see initially?
You know, not really. Like I said, I think we played pretty good. I mean, I know defensively our guys are a little disappointed. And, you know, in the first half we stopped the run. We gave up the 2 long yards, the 3rd and 20 and the 2nd and goal from the 19 calls. That, you know, if we make those plays, it may feel different. And then, you know, in the second half, they were able to kind of control the ball and lean on us a little bit. Offensively, we didn't put the game away when we were up 10 and we had a chance to. But, you know, like I said, I think after the game, I do think we played our best in the tightest moments. Defense getting the interception before half, offense going and scoring. When they took the lead, they only had it for like 2 minutes, and we went right down and scored. And so it was kind of one of those games we were kind of in control the whole game. We just never kind of put the game away. And again, I think it's a good football team. I mean, went on the road, almost beat Missouri, had them down, beat Michigan State. We're beating Louisville by 3 scores in the second half. Like, that's a good football team. So we beat a good football team, and again, that's just kind of how you expect a lot of conference games to go. So looking back at it, sure, there's some things we could have done different here or there, but I thought our guys played hard. Thought they played together, and I thought, like I said, when the game was quote on the line, they acted like they had been there before.
You're on the verge of clinching a spot in the ACC title game. Are you able to take in the magnitude of that moment and what you've been able to accomplish?
No,
this year?
can't let ourselves go there. You know, we got 2 games left. The job's not done. We all understand what's in front of us and what opportunities we have, but you know, if you sit around and think about that too long, you won't stay present. So we have put ourselves in this position. It's what we wanted to do. We talked about before the season. We wanted to prove we belong and try to put ourselves in position in November to be playing for something, and we are. So that part's, you know, accomplished. Now we got to go finish. We got to go finish the deal, and we get an opportunity to do that Saturday. So trying to stay focused on that.
I know something big for you guys really this season was finding the consistency along the offensive line, and then you have something like this past weekend where Savion goes out, Andrew comes in, he slots right in. Can you talk about, you know,
Yeah.
you want to have the consistency, but then the guy just slots right in?
Yeah, I think we settled on good consistency. We've stayed pretty healthy. You know, I think Garen, as always, he's done it every year. It just does a great job of settling those guys in and getting better as the year goes on and having depth. You know, we talked about it our first year here. We talked about it last year, and even this year at times when J.O.'s had to go out and either Ben Sparks or Nate Anderson's had to pop in for Logan Parr or whatever. Those guys have done good. And then, yeah, I'm really proud of Andrew Chambly. I mean, you know, played a little bit early in the season, hadn't played as much lately. Savion had kind of been playing well, and, man, we put him in. He played the whole second half, and we really didn't skip a beat. So really proud of him, and I think that's the depth that's key that we knew going into the season, and it'll be key down the stretch as well. Oh, well, hey, man, welcome back. Glad to have you.
Oh,
Yeah.
stick to a schedule 10 minutes early.
Yeah, well, we're not patient around here. We know huddle.
Go fast.
Yeah. Anyway, so, yeah, I was really proud of Andrew.
With the road success this year, is the strategy different when you are preparing for a road game versus a home game at all?
Not really. I mean, you know, you take into the account if the environment's one where the noise is going to be an issue with your snap count and those kind of things. But for the most part, like, we just prepare the same way. We prepare for the opponent we're playing and to play our style of football and what we think we have to do to win. We don't talk about it too much, you know. Early on when I was here, first couple of years, and even at times earlier this year, you know, we just talk about how we love going on the road. We want to have a mentality that relishes the opportunity to go into a stadium where, you know, now our fans have traveled pretty good this year, but for the most part, everyone's against you. It's a hostile environment. You know, think Louisville in the second half when they came back and tied it, and it got loud on third down and all that. Like, if you're a competitor, you have to rise to those moments and love it. And like that has to be something that you live for instead of something you shrink in. And so I don't know if that's helped, that we just kind of take the mentality of like, hey, we love going on the road. Like that's fun. Like we get to get on a plane. American Airlines takes great care of us. We fly there, right? Hang out in a hotel like we do like the night before a home game. So the routine isn't really any different other than we're not playing here. Now don't get it wrong. Our guys like playing at home, but we haven't made too big a deal about it other than we enjoy it and we relish it and they bought into it.
Speaking of tempo, you have kind of the ability to go fast at
Yep.
times and slow down a little bit. Against BC, it seemed like there were moments where you wanted to slow down. How important is that to be able to recognize that at key moments to
Yeah.
give the defense a little rest and also possess the ball?
It's hard, it's an in-between deal. I mean, the game was never out of reach. So even though we were controlling the game, we needed to go score. And, a couple times we just failed to finish that late. That could have maybe kind of put a little breathing room there for us. But, yeah, especially when you get a lead or if potentially the defense has been on the field a lot, the fact that BC wasn't tempoing, they had a high time of possession on us, but they didn't have a lot higher play count. They had a higher play count, but so it wasn't an issue. I don't think the other night. When we did get up 10, that's where it's tough because you're like, man, we need to go score. We also need to burn a little clock. We slowed down a little bit, burns clock. We didn't convert. So having the ability to do it's key. I think we do like to play fast. We got to do a better job of when we're not playing fast, either because we can't or don't need to, that we can keep executing. And we've done it pretty well this year, but we didn't do it as good the other night in the fourth quarter as we need to.
Kevin's ability to extend plays, get out of pocket, and he threw some pretty incredible passes I felt like on those kind of scramble drills. Made it that one sack. How have you seen that develop with him getting stronger and just being able to make all those types of throws on the run?
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of confidence. That's what he brings. The first one was the second drive. I think we run a bootleg. The end runs up the field. He dips under him and throws the ball. I can't remember if it was Keyshawn or Moochie. Just a great throw. And then a few plays later, or a drive later on that third down, he evades a sack of one of the best pass rushers in our league and throws a dart to Moochie. Obviously that's the stuff he does really well that frustrates the defense and helps make us a little more dynamic. So I think it's a great skill set of his, and you've seen the last 2 weeks him get back to doing that at a high level, also valuing the ball and still making plays. So, and I think you think about it, when he gets one more off season in the weight room, I think he's going to really fill out even more. And so, but yeah, he's tough. He's hard to bring down. He has a great feel for the pocket and a great awareness for where it is on the field. And I think, aside from the obvious things like you got to be able to throw the ball and all that, I think awareness is one of the best intangible traits a quarterback can have, and he's got it.
Semifinalist for the Diego Bryan Award. Is he still just a little bit slept on though nationally?
Coach Saban talks about him every week, so it's making it hard for him to be slept on. You know what I mean? So far, I've been really proud of him. I think Kevin doesn't take himself too seriously as a person. Like he's one of the guys. He's a teammate. He doesn't act like, well, I'm the star quarterback. No, he's one of the guys. They love him for it. He just goes out and plays almost for love of the game. I think that's what helps him when things are really good, stay fairly even, and when things are rough, hang in there. It's just a great kind of calmness he has about him. Now, don't get it wrong, he's very confident in himself, but in a very humble way, which is the best way. So I'm not worried about being slept on and all that. Look, because we rotated the first 3 games of the year, his stats are going to look different. He's probably 500 yards passing less than he would have been, and his yards per game is not what it would have been. He doesn't care about that. I don't care about that. I think he cares about winning, and he's obviously helping us do that at a high level.
Do you think, though, Rhett, that he might be slept on, at least in the Heisman discussion, because of where this team is at? It is the sole first possession of first place in the big conference. And so,
Yeah.
based on what he's done and how he's won some grinding games, like even though he overcame the performance at 2.
Yeah. Yeah, he's performed as good as anybody else in the country, I think, in these last 7 games. All that stuff comes. Our job's not done. We got to win. We got to continue to win. I think he's played great. I think he's starting to get recognized. I think the more we win or the more he plays well throughout this year and even into next year, those things are going to happen. And I just don't get caught up too much on it. there's just so much going on. The people that vote on those things and pick those things, half of them just look at stat lines. And like I said, his stat line's good, but it's not dominant because, again, he didn't start the first 3 games and some other things. So sometimes people, they can't watch everything. I think the people that have watched him, they know, whether it's Louis Riddick or Coach Saban, like you see the way they talk about it from a intelligent football standpoint. So I think he knows that the more the team wins, all individual goals flow through the team. I wouldn't trade him for anybody out there, including those guys they got in the top 5 for the Heisman. So tells you what I think.
You mentioned Anthony Calandria before. What have you also seen from Musket? How much do you anticipate him playing? And how much?
It's a good question. I mean, they both can extend plays and run and throw. So Calandria's been the guy all year. I know they made a change at halftime the other day because they were down and had some turnover issues. So I don't know what they're going to do. We got to be ready for whoever they play. I think it would be hard to think that they're sitting here 5-5 with 2 games left, a chance to win, go to a bowl and all that, and a guy who's been really good for them all year is not going to play. That's who I would expect to play, but I'm not in their locker room, and so we may see both of them, we may see one of them, but we got to be prepared for whoever they throw out there. But I mean, I would expect Calandria to be out there on the first snap, my guess.
Why do you think Kevin was so under-recruited out of high school?
Good question. I don't know. South Oak Cliff kind of was busting on the scene about that time in terms of, Coach Todd had gotten there and they started winning. And so it's like us right now. Like, we're first year in the league. We're 6-0. We're 9-1. And it doesn't matter because if we don't keep winning, nobody cares. But, it's not like people just it's like, oh, you're the new guy, but you weren't really thought of on the front end, so it's easy to think about what you thought was going to happen. I think, nowadays, too, with quarterback recruiting, everything is so sped up that a lot of guys are getting offered sophomore and junior year and committing then. And, Kevin really started playing well junior into senior year. And so sometimes it's not even anybody's fault. We're in the state of Texas. There's a lot of options. There's guys right now popping up that are committing places that none of us really were high on a year ago, and now they're really good players, and a lot of people are full. And so it's just recruiting's not an exact science. So I don't know. He's gotten bigger here. He wasn't the biggest, tallest guy, and but I know this. I'd gotten the job for 10 days and went and watched him play, and he stood out. You couldn't miss him, just like I think people that are starting to watch him play now in college, if they do watch him, they go, whoa. And so it's another good lesson, though, for kids or players out there being recruited that maybe want something. It's not how many offers you get. It's about getting the right offer. And fortunately for us and him, it was the right offer.
How do you, with the transfer portal coming up, how do you approach it from anybody who maybe will have conversations, but also this is that time of year that you start having conversations with the guys that you want to keep in the collectives and all that stuff to go along with that to make sure you're aligned going into December 9th before it's here?
Yes. We're the only sport that has free agency before the sport's over. So it's kind of crazy. But, we're sitting here with 2 regular season games left trying to compete to earn a chance to go play for our conference championship and stay in the playoff race. And yet we're 3 weeks away from having to try to recruit the guys to return on our team and fill holes for guys that are going to be leaving. And that's a lot. It's just a lot all at once. And so it's really unfair to these kids, too, if I'm being honest. Put yourself in the juniors on our team's shoes. They're sitting here. We're 9-1. We're 6-0. We're competing for something awesome. This is why they come to college. This is why they come to SMU, to be in this position. They can't enjoy the moment fully because people are hitting them up. Other schools are hitting them up. It's happening all around the country. Agents are hitting them up, and family members are saying, you should do this or you should do that. And, they're kids. Let them focus on going to class and playing ball with this team. And so we talk about being present. We're trying to do that while they got all that going on. That's not fair to them, in my opinion. We're adults. We can handle the fact that, okay, well, we got to coach this team, recruit the next team. I get it. And it's like everything else. A lot of the things that have changed are good for the players, whether they have the opportunity to earn money or have freedom to choose where they want to play. That's all good, but how it happens sometimes wasn't maybe thought out well enough because if I'm a junior right now, I've got to decide, do I stay in school, do I go pro? Do I stay at this school, do I go to another school? I got people wearing me out, and all the meanwhile, I wish I could just focus on my team and what we're keep competing for right now. So, but yeah, we're in full swing on all that stuff.
Any injuries you've been up to?
We got out of the game pretty clean. Smoke just had a bruised shin, so he's back, and Savion, he tweaked his knee. It wasn't severe. He was at practice today. He's going to be cleared to play. It's going to be how effective can he be. So obviously it was good to see Chambly play well. So Elijah Roberts was out there at the beginning of practice today. Expect him to be a full participant tomorrow. Who am I missing? Yeah, we got some unfortunate news late last week. We were pretty optimistic that Jake was going to miss a few weeks and be able to come back. And I think it was Wednesday of last week, Wednesday or Thursday, I can't remember which day. Kind of got a new exam, and just it's not healing at the rate that we want it to. So it looks like at this point we're not going to get Jake back this year. And so it's really disappointing for him. Jake's one of our leaders. He's now his third year. He's poured everything into this program. Our first year was playing well, got hurt. Last year was our leading receiver. This year was our leading receiver before he got injured. So not having him and in there, if nothing else, just from a leadership standpoint and trust, but production standpoint, hurts us, but I know it hurts him and our guys. So we're disappointed for Jake, but it doesn't appear, I don't ever say never, depending on how long we play, because you could play into January, middle of January now, but it looks like it's just going to take a lot longer to heal than maybe we had all hoped. It's like this kind of joint right here, the SC joint where, your AC's up here, I believe. Well, I'm not a doctor. I may mess this up. But your SC joint's where kind of your collarbone and your sternum right around here meet, and it wasn't broken, but it was injured in a way that's a area of your chest that just kind of protects a lot of your vital organs, so you can't take a lot of risk with that. So I think we were hoping was more of like a contusion, sprain, whatever the words would be, and it was going to get better. It's just not healing at the rate it needs to. It wouldn't be safe to put him out there. Like, he could potentially play and be fine, but also potentially could be really bad. So, but the good news for him, I want to make sure, like, in a couple months, minimum, he'd be able to make a full recovery, which will give him a chance to work out for the scouts and try to go make a team in the NFL, which I know is important to him. So it's not career ending. It's just not great for him coming back this year.
Kind of unfortunate follow-up here that's not intended, but players faking injury has kind of been a national conversation
Yeah.
this year. After the game on Saturday, Junior told us he thought he saw BC players faking injuries. What's kind of your perspective on the prevalence throughout college football, and do you see anything?
There's another conference that took a pretty hard line on it. I think that's what all the conferences are going to have to do. I'm not here to start accusing people of what they did and didn't do, because it is hard. It's hard. Officials can't do anything about it, because what if the guy really is injured? You know what I mean? You can't. That's tough. And to me, it comes back to, the 3 injuries the other day. It just so happened to be after we had an explosive play and we're going fast. So maybe the guy just got hurt then, or maybe it was strategic. I didn't make that decision. So, Junior said what he thought, because that's what it probably felt like to him. I think it comes back to an integrity deal, man. Like, we're all ball coaches. We want to win. It's hard to make a rule that solves that. I don't think it's fair. I've heard people say, hey, if a guy goes down for an injury and they stop play, he should not be able to go back in that drive, or he should have to sit this. I don't think that's fair, because a guy may really get his bell rung. We want him to stay down and be safe, and he may be the starting quarterback, and 2 plays later he can come back in the game. I've never seen anybody fake an injury with the starting quarterback. So, like, I'd hate for us to make a knee-jerk reaction to solve a problem that creates another problem, which we do often. I just think it comes down to a league took a hard line and basically put it on the coaches to have integrity. And, like, if it's in question, you're going to get dinged pretty good. Again, I don't know if they were really hurt or not the other day. I'm not judging that. I know we don't do that. And and sometimes, too, it gets weird, because a kid may be, like, halfway injured and he's kind of trying to get off the field, and it's better if he just goes down. Like, so it's just so much gray area. But it is an issue. I think it's more of an integrity of the game issue than a operation of the game issue.
You talked about your team being as physical game in and game out. That's kind of what your legs to stand on. But from what you saw from
Yeah. Well, I don't think they were more physical than us. I don't think that for 1 second. I do think in the second half, I mean, that's a massive O-line. It was a tough matchup for us because it doesn't matter how many people you put in the box. A back can hide behind that line and get 3 or 4 or 5, and you contain the run, but like just the sheer volume and mass of humans that are that big, it's just and candidly, nobody plays that way anymore. Like that's not modern football. Modern football is more like what we do, what Virginia does. Even in the NFL, very few people do that. Some do. So it kind of makes them an outlier in a positive way for them. And so if you don't get a negative play, or if you don't, when they do their play action, if they're able to dink and dunk like they didn't have a lot of explosive plays. They just had a lot of efficient plays, and it kept them on the field. And then when you take into account they were going to go for it on 4th down. They've kicked 2 field goals on the year. They don't kick field goals. And, they don't punt great, so they weren't going to punt a lot. Like if it was reasonable, he was going to – and so the play caller can call 3rd and 6 different than he ever would. So all those things go into account. I thought our guys were physical. I just thought they did a nice job executing. I think we only had 46 rushing yards in the first half for them, but in the second half they really got after it. And the quarterback got loose on one. So I don't think our guys feel like, man, we got physically overpowered like maybe we did a year ago. I think it's just, hey, we gotta bow up. We gotta maybe win a few more battles up front to get a negative play here or there, or fit the run a little bit better, And I think strategically we feel like maybe there's some things we could have done differently to put them in a better position in the second half to stop the run. So I still got a lot of confidence in our physicality. I think our guys have proven it over and over and over again. And I think it was a tough matchup. We hung in there and found a way to win. And but now we got to do it in the last 2 games of the year. We got to continue to bring that physicality when your body's tired and everybody's tired.